Hello and welcome to the Rest is Football question episode with me, Gary Lineker, and Micah Richards, but no Alan Shearer today because he's on his golf trip. So we've allowed him to play 18 holes and uninterrupted.
Hold on, Gary. Is that allowed? I thought this was supposed to come first. When we made a pact at the beginning of the season, we said this would come first.
So why were you in Mexico and not doing the last episode that we did?
It's a contractual agreement, Gary.
So it's all right for some and not others. But I think what you're saying is it's fine if it's work circumstances, but not if it's just a golf trip with the Geordie lads and he's too hungover to get up early.
Correct. That's exactly what I was saying, Gary.
So, Micah, what were you doing in Mexico?
Okay, just to give a little bit of context. For those who don't know, I was captain, but I think I got shifted to the side. Jill Scott is a new blue team captain on A League of Their Own. Obviously, Jamie Redknapp has been doing it for years, and he was with Maisie Adam. And basically what we do, we've got a studio show, which we film in London for 2.5 weeks. Then we have what you call a road trip. So our road trip this year was Mexico.
Was it fun? How long were you there?
They was out for 10 days. I was out for about 5 days because I went after the Manchester derby. So I headed a little bit late, but it was amazing. Let's just say, what was Loco? No.
Loco Perdido.
No, what was my name? I was doing wrestling, Gary. I'm a wrestler now.
No way.
That's all. I can't give it away, but that's what I'm going to tell you. I was a wrestler.
Brilliant.
All masked up, all oiled up. Fantastic.
I bet you looked $1 million, didn't you?
I look fantastic. You know what? I'm going to put it in a group right now.
Now, everyone will want to know, and I wouldn't be doing my job if I didn't ask this question, Micah. Any good nightclubs in Mexico that you frequented?
They were a few fantastic nightclubs. I won't name them just because
Because you can't.
Because I can't. But let's say I've learned how to salsa.
Ooh. I look forward to seeing that episode, Micah.
Right,
let's get on with answering your questions. And once again, thank you very much for sending them in there. Much appreciated. Let's start with a question from Nicholas Pope. Hi, fellas. I love the podcast. You guys are great value. Thank you. My question is, which training drills or sessions made the biggest difference to your ability or technique on the pitch?
Ooh, it's a very good question, that.
I go back to my kind of upbringing, really, and my first time with Leicester in the days, well, it's pre-academy days, but it was used to go after school Tuesdays and Thursdays, and I had a coach called George Dewis, who was a great goal scorer himself for Leicester City way back. He's no longer with us, sadly, but it was interesting because he was a centre forward himself, scored a lot of goals, and his entire training sessions were finishing, whether it's crossing and getting a movement in the box, or whether it was one-on-one with the goalkeeper, or whether it was hitting the ball from the edge of the box. But it was every single session. He was brilliant for me. And he went through, he was also the youth team coach when I joined Leicester at 16. So I had him until probably from 12 to 18. And every single session, Tuesday, Thursdays, and often on Saturdays. And then once I joined full time, was just finishing. And I think that had an enormous benefit on me. No particular exercise in particular, but because, you can never replicate something in a match exactly anyway. But it's just that constant scoring goals from every different position had a massive effect on me. Anything for you, Mike? A particular perhaps session or style of coaching?
Yeah, I remember early doors. So we just lost Mark Hughes and we brought in Mancini. And the Italians, very thorough with their tactics. They know exactly what they want, when they want it. And basically, I remember it was around Christmas time and it was pitch black. Mancini gets announced. and we had a session like normally. So a normal day in the life as a footballer. You get up, probably have breakfast around 8, 9 o'clock. You get to training for 9:30, 10 o'clock. You start training 10:30 or 11. You do your pre-activation, you do your warm-ups, whatever you need for the session. So say you start at 11 o'clock. You might be training for 2 hours, you have your lunch, you get your massage, and you go home. Footballers have a lot of time to do basically nothing once you've, done all the stuff that you need at football. But then we walk out the changing rooms and we see a list. So normally you only get a list when it's like time to go to a game. So it's 20 in the squad or 18 or whatever it may be. There's a list. And I've seen training at 5:30 p.m. So we're thinking, is that for the reserves? Because normally the first team have their way of doing things and reserves, and like the top academy players might trade later to see who he wants to put in his squad. So I think it was David Platt at the time. I said to Platty, 5:30 for what? And there was an awkward silence. He said, we're training at 5:30. And I was like, you're going to lose all the lads. You're going to lose all. So we go home. We have our sleep. We come back. It was like wacky races. Everyone getting back on time.
Can I ask one question here?
Yeah, of course.
Is this for pre-season training or was it?
This is in the season.
Okay.
This is what made it even worse. That's a great question, Gary, because normally if you train twice or 3 times a day, pre-season, no problem.
Yeah.
Because what you're trying to do, you get your body in the best possible shape. So when you're playing the games, it's as easy as possible. We was doing this during the season, pitch black outside. We come back to training and then Mancini puts on a session. You don't touch the ball. It's all tactics. He put floodlights on the AstroTurf pitch because our normal pitch was dark. So we're on AstroTurf pitch, basically just doing shape for hours and hours and hours. And I have to give it to him. It helped us massively. And the players didn't really want to buy into it, but after they started seeing the shape, it was like, fair play.
Yeah. I mean, to be perfectly honest, it's not exactly going down the pit, is it? I don't think we get too much sympathy for having to train an extra couple of hours on it.
At 5:30, Gary.
No, I get it. I get it because footballers, we're so accustomed, aren't we, just to training a couple of hours a day during the season. Because to be honest, if you do any more of that, you can get tired. But I must admit, I never enjoyed the shape training because as a striker, you don't really get involved in it. It's all for the defence and midfield, really, isn't it?
But did you press though, Gary? Obviously press, but was you taught to press or was you taught to sit back in position and just wait?
It varied. It varied. Sometimes we'd sit back and particularly probably with England, you'd sit back because generally when you play a tournament, it's in the heat of the summer somewhere, or a place like when we played in Mexico where you've just been. There's no way you could have pressed there. I mean, you're playing at altitude in a lot of places and in 30, 40 degrees centigrade in others, so you couldn't press. But yeah. Yeah, it was very rarely you worked on the pressing side of things in training back then. Although Terry Venables was keen on pressing, so I did it a lot with him. But but it's just that formation stuff. It's just dull. That's it's not hard work. It's just dull, isn't it?
That's it. It's dull, but it helps. It helps.
Does. Let's move on. We've got one question from Andrew Alexander. What is your favourite football match that you've watched live as a spectator? Well, I'll give you a little bit of time to think because I think we talked about this. In fact, on the podcast this week with Alan Shearer was definitely the World Cup final for me in Qatar because it was just truly extraordinary. And we went into some depths about that just the other day. So, Micah? Yours?
Yeah, I was going to say the exact same, but I think I'll give the people a little bit of context as to not just why, because it was a great game, but it was strange because when we're doing punditry, so how we have it, you're the bigwig. You're top of the line, top of the tree. You're in the A team, as it were.
Well, you're
so the
getting closer, Micah.
I yeah, but this is what I love about the whole thing. So you have A team, and BBC won't mind us talking about this, will they?
No, not at all.
No, okay. So you have A team, and in the A team is normally the big hitters. So you'll have someone like a Drogba, a Shearer, yourself, a Rio Ferdinand. An A team pretty much means you're a very good broadcaster, but you was an outstanding player, you know? And when it comes to the big games, you'll be considered as the A team for that particular game. So what happened on that day is someone must have believed I was doing something with the A team for TV. And someone must have assumed I was doing something for the A. So the A team radio would be Chappers and Murray, Ian Dennis, Kenny Cates, unbelievable team, Chris Sutton. And for some reason, I sort of wasn't booked to do either or.
So you got in no one's A team.
So I was on the reserve for the A team on radio and reserve A team for TV. In the end, I went to go do a little bit of radio, but without going into too much detail and throwing people in the box, there wasn't enough mics really. So I was like, oh, okay, what do I have? So anyway, I just said to myself, let me just go watch the best game in history that I've seen. And I was just there with one of the staff from the radio, really looked after me, fantastic on the day. He cheered me up because he knew I wanted to be doing something, but I wasn't doing anything. And then it was Mbappe, Messi. No, Messi's the best. No, Mbappe's the best. Oh, Mbappe can't allow Messi to do this to him. But then Messi has to have the last laugh. And it was just an incredible day because that's just typical me. I started off the day on such a high. Ooh, World Cup final, broadcasting. I'm involved somehow. And then no one wanted me. And then I get to see the game. So what was I even moaning about in the first place? I was so privileged to be even there. So it was just the highs and lows of the day, really.
Can you remember that old TV series, The A-Team?
I've not seen it, but I've heard of it, Gary.
Well, they're bringing a new one out called The B-Team. If you'd like to audition. Oh, dear. Let's move on. A question from Raj Chauhan. I hope I've said that right. Who is the second best striker in the Premier League after Erling Haaland? Now, do we count people like Mo Salah as a striker? Probably not, I would say, on this for this question anyway. I think he means a 9.
Yes.
You have Callum Wilson, Watkins.
We could include Alvarez in that, maybe.
He's not really playing as a 9, though, is he?
He's playing as a 10, but he's still playing up front.
Yeah. Jesus possibly would be in that.
But Jesus plays off the left, doesn't he?
But he can play as a 9 and plays a lot. Isak possibly as well. I like him. But I would say underneath Haaland, there's not one obvious probably standout because he's so ahead of everyone else, certainly as a number 9 in the Premier League. Actually, I've got it. I've got the answer to this question. Just thought, because he's shifted to a 9 this season, a certain Heung-min Son.
Oh, no! Gary, we can't do that. We can't.
Why?
We shift in place.
No, the question is, who is the best number 9 or striker after Erling Haaland in the Premier League right now? If we'd have said over a period of time, we could have said, well, Harry Kane or Alan Shearer or someone else. But at the moment, Son's playing as a 9 and he's playing it brilliantly. And what I like about him, he's great at getting behind the back four in all seriousness. That's got to be the answer, hasn't it?
Yeah, I would definitely agree with you if we're saying players who have played in that position this season. And of course, Son has been incredible. But we knew Son could do this already. Let's talk about
What's that got to do with the answer to this question? Whether we knew he could do it or we know Haaland can score a lot of goals.
We know Son, but it's for the likes of the Wilsons, the Alvarez, the Watkins, who not really.
All right, let's take Son out of it. For you.
On form, I would say Watkins.
Yeah.
I still think he's got another level to go. I still think he's snatching at things. If I'm being really, really critical, and who am I to talk about finishing when it's a striker? But I do believe he's got another level to go where it becomes effortless for him.
He missed a header yesterday, I think. I was watching the second half there, and a chance to get them back in the game against Forest. But we all miss chances. It's a tough one. There's no obvious standout, I don't think.
Oh, wait, before we've got to talk about Ferguson as well, Brighton.
Well, but he's probably not quite yet, but he could well be. He's got a real talent.
Yeah, I think it's only right we mentioned Ferguson. But yes, I think Watkins right now.
Okay, we'll give it a little bit more thought over the break. We'll take a breather. Welcome back to the Rest is Football with Micah Richards and me, Gary Lineker. Alan Shearer's on the fourth tee. I believe he's already 16 over par. It's not going well for him. I've got a question here from Recruit96. Which teammate of yours had the most unusual personal habits? I can think back to Tottenham. It wasn't necessarily an unusual personal habit, but one of our teammates, John Monkey, who was a great lad, a lot of fun. He was quite ticky, and that's coming from someone who's a bit ticky himself. I've always been a bit twitchy. But on the back of the bus, Gazza always used to challenge him to not like twitch or do his nose or whatever for a minute. And he could never do it. And he used to say, "Oh, stop doing that to me. Stop doing that to me. Stop making me try." It was like pulling strange faces all the time, which was quite fun. Micah, I'm not sure I want to know about your unusual habits, but any players that you can think of?
Not really. I won't name names because it won't be fair. But a lot of our players used to smoke in the changing rooms before they used to go out.
You kidding?
I swear it was madness. I'd go there because every time before I used to go out, I used to say a little prayer in the toilet, and you say a little prayer and all that.
You said a prayer in the toilet. Okay.
I needed a quiet space, and then one time I just seen like smoke sort of, when it filters over your...
Did you think it was a message from the Lord?
I thought I was going straight to heaven.
I think you might go the other way, Micah.
But yeah, it wouldn't be responsible of me to name names, but it was... I don't know if it was because of nerves, though, Gary. I think we have to put it into context as well. Being a professional footballer is the best job. It's all we dreamed of as young boys, the lifestyle it gives you, but it does come with some pressure. Like the minute before you're about to go out in a big game, or not even sometimes a big game, what goes through you and be able to put that aside and perform, it's some of the most nerve-wracking times of your life, isn't it? And you just want to get your first pass right. You want to score the first goal or the first tackle. And I just think players wanted that little bit of, I don't
smoking time. I played all my career. I never saw that in a dressing room once.
You never seen...
And not in and that's back in the day when obviously players weren't anywhere near probably as professional as they are now. I find that's nuts.
I think it was more a comfort thing, because of the nerves. They just wanted something to do.
They just wanted to feel dizzy and sick on the pitch.
But that brings me to, have you seen the players taking snooze?
Yeah. And this is a thing that's become very popular, which is it's a very high dose of nicotine, isn't it, that you put under your lip. Right. Okay. Which you, amongst others... You like it, don't you? Do it a little bit, is that snooze?
Yeah, so basically, I don't know what it is. I don't know if we're searching for something or something to calm us down, but it came from Scandinavia many years ago, and one of the players gave me some, and it was, horrible. And then it came back like 10 years. People started taking it again. And what you do, like you said, a bit of nicotine, you put it in your gum, and it just gives you a relaxing feeling.
Okay, right. So I'm going to tell a story here about, when was it? A couple of years ago in the European Championship. And it's the night before the opening game of the tournament, which was going to be live on BBC One. And we have gathered at a hotel in Manchester, and we're having dinner. And who's there? There was Micah and Alan Shearer and Rio's agent and Ashley Williams and one or two others. And we were talking about these snooze things. Now, it's important to say it's not illegal. It's perfectly legal. A lot of footballers take them, and you see them sometimes doing interviews with the things under their gum. So I'm asking them, what is this stuff? Why do you know? I said, blah, blah, blah. They said, well, I said, well, what does it do for you? They said, well, it just calms you down. You probably hardly even notice it. So they're going, why don't you try it? I'm going, no, it's not for me. I'm not a smoker. I'll be. And they went, no, go on, no. So anyway, a few drinks later, towards the end of the night, come on. I went, well, I'm going to go to bed now. So I'll try it a little bit. So what do I do? They went, right, just get the thing, stick it under your gum, leave it in for 5 minutes, take it out. So I went, well, okay. Do you want the strong one or the weak one? Well, I want the weak one, obviously. I'm not going to go straight in. No, I'm not that stupid. So anyway, I pop this thing under my gum. I go up to my bedroom. I get undressed, ready for bed. And suddenly I start to feel really, really dizzy. So I sit on the bed and I'm stark naked. And I've whipped this thing straight out my mouth and thrown it in the bin. Thought, what the hell is this? And I stand there sitting on my bed, and I start to sweat, but I'm freezing. And I'm sweating, and there's a pool on the floor, and I can't move. And I'm thinking, what the hell have they done to me? So anyway, then I start to feel very, very nauseous. But I can't stand up. Because if I move upwards in any way, shape or form, I go incredibly dizzy and feel like I'm going to vomit immediately. So eventually, I lay on the floor and I crawl to the toilet like a snake, just sliding. That's the only way I could get there. And just before I got to the toilet, I vomit everywhere. It's on the shower screens. It's all over. And this is about, I think, midnight. And I feel terrible. It's horrendous. It's sick everywhere. I'm lying there. I'm sorry about this story, but and then the only place I could not be sick again is if I lie on my side on a freezing cold floor, and I am now hating you lot like you can't imagine. Feel like I've been set up, and then after a certain period of time, I thought, I think I'm through it. And I go back and I sit on my bed and it starts again. And I'm dizzy and I'm back on my front sliding like a snake. And I get back and I'm ill again. And then I'm laying on the toilet floor waiting. And eventually the thing came to an end. And I got into my bed and I thought, I'll look at the time. It was 7 a.m. in the morning. I'd had 7 hours of absolute torture. Thank you very much for that, Micah.
Oh my gosh.
And that was the night before. I got no sleep. I had to do the opening game of the Euros. Thank heavens I wasn't playing, I hasten to add. What on earth are you doing taking that stuff?
Oh, Gary, what a story. That is unbelievable.
It's absolutely true. It was horrendous. It was horrendous. Right. Not sure how we move on from that, but I'll just slide through on the floor to the next question. This is mostly for Micah, and it's from Luke. How much do players care, if at all, about how they're rated in video games. So I presume that's like the FIFA ratings and stuff. I must admit, I know very little about that sort of thing, and I've never been a gamer, but I did notice that I managed to sneak onto something called, is it FIFA Legends or something?
You know exactly what it's called. Yes, it's called FIFA
But they had my
Legends.
pace at the start of it really low. Like I was.
What was it? What
Yeah.
was your pace?
Well, I think it was about
70s?
86, 87 or something. I mean, I was rapid. And at that point, I thought, this is a nonsense. Do players take notice of it, Micah?
Oh, yeah, 100%.
They do, yeah.
I just wanted to beat Zabaleta. I just wanted it to beat him.
You'll never be.
Yeah, you know what it is, though? It's because this is when social media starts coming into play, because back in the day, it used to be Pro Evolution Soccer. That was everyone's game. And then everyone moved to FIFA, and FIFA started becoming too realistic, like your power, your pace, your skill, your shooting, your defending, had absolutely everything. And I was like, I'm quicker than Zabaleta. I'm stronger than Zabaleta. I score more goals than Zabaleta. But his rating is still better than mine. I'm just like, it's a piss take. So of course we do. I think mine was 78 at the time and he was 80. I think the best I've ever been on it overall is 80 or 81.
And what's that? I mean, explain to, idiots like me and that
yeah.
don't
So
really understand
81 out of your score is out of 100. Oh, it's 90. Yeah, it's 99 really, but it's 100. Yeah, you score out of your 100, and this can be based on sort of like physicality, your speed, shooting, passing, all those sort of things get rolled up into one. And basically, I was pretty good at all them things, but my rating was
But
not.
hang on a minute, Micah. If you ever got an 8 out of 10 in the morning, in the newspapers, you'd be absolutely chuffed with that. So in essence, you've been given an 8 out of 10.
Yes, I have actually, yeah.
Look at it. Try and look at it in a positive way.
You're
Micah.
right, Gary.
Apparently, my legend card was 92, Micah.
You see, obviously, that's why you know 80's not that good, isn't it? 92,
no,
that is.
No, come on, though. You know,
No.
you were just a fullback.
92 is marvellous.
It is.
It really is.
Which leads me on to the next question, which is from Nathan Zur. And this fella's rating will be significant higher than either of our ratings. In the spirit of Messi winning his 8th Ballon d'Or, how do you think he would have gone on in the Premier League in his prime? Now, I often see this question and I always think, that's absurd. What do you mean? He would just absolutely dominate and be brilliant as he is everywhere else. In fact, he has got one of the best records. I think he's in the top 3 of the all-time scorers against the Premier League's top 6. And he doesn't play in our league. So I think that answers your question for you.
Oh, when people ask you that,
It's just
like,
daft, isn't it?
Come on, it's like, we've seen how good David Silva was. And Messi is David Silva, who could finish and he's rapid. So it's ridiculous. Messi would be the best, whether he was playing in England, Spain, Brazil, Portugal, France, no matter where, he's the best. He's a GOAT. He has to be.
Yeah. Well, going from the Ballon d'Or winner to another of the recipients of an award on that evening, and it was a privilege to hand over that award to a certain Erling Haaland. This question from Nikki to me. Gary, what was Erling telling you while you guys were watching his goals back at the Ballon d'Or? And what's your favourite person you saw at the ceremony? Well, Messi was there, and it was great actually, because I took the 4 boys and I told Alan the other day, and it was they were all there, Mbappe and Didier Deschamps and Haaland and Messi and all the Man City players. It was brilliant to be there.
Did you ask him to come on the pod or what?
I asked Jude Bellingham actually. I had a good chat with Jude, and he said, yeah, definitely do it at some point. So that would be great. We'd love to get Jude on. I mean, you can't have Messi on because he doesn't speak English.
Maybe one day.
Yeah.
Maybe one day.
Actually, it's quite interesting because during the Ballon d'Or, when I gave him the award, they showed all of the goals that Haaland scored last season, all stuck together in a montage. And we were standing there, just watching them, and it was obviously tap in. Then there was a couple of, and then it was. I said to him, I said, "Oh, I like this finish." He went, "Yeah, that was a good one." He said, and then there was another one next one. He went, "This is my favourite. This is my favourite. Look at this one. Look at," and it was like one of the big high kicks, the kind of scissor kick kind of thing, and it went on. There was like a mutual appreciation of his finishing, and then then there was like, he went, "That was a good header, wasn't it? That was it." And we were just basically chatting through all his goals and that enthusiasm for a finisher, and I could see that he has that absolute drive to score, and he knows how to do it. And we were going like, he said, "Watch my movement here. Watch," and then so it was actually quite. It would have been nice to have had a little microphone on that and just to record between us. But what a goal scorer he is. Although he upset a lot of people's fantasy this weekend, I think.
Oh, absolutely.
Did you have him as captain, Micah?
No, I knew everyone was going to go Haaland captain, so I went Alvarez captain.
And he didn't do anything either, did he?
Oh my God. I wanted to break my phone. I'm away in Mexico. I see 1 going, 2 going, 3 going. I'm thinking, okay, Haaland's not all right, fine. I've still got Haaland in my team. I want him to score, but I want Alvarez.
And then he goes off at
5,
half-time.
6. And he didn't even get an assist. Nothing. I had him captain. He gets 2 points for playing past 60 minutes or 70 minutes or whatever it is. And ended up with 4 points. It was annoying, but I've still got a few to play.
I had Jeremy Doku as captain. You know full well I don't play it. He did particularly well. This is what the fantasy football thing, and I understand it, and it's this addictive thing. But honestly, I've got 4 lads. 3 of them play it. 3 of them do it all the time, and it's the home conversations, and they come to me, "What do you think of my team?" And I go, "Well, I don't know. It looks all right." And then the difference in their mood. If it's bad on a Sunday, they all come around usually for Sunday lunch. And honestly, if their player's not doing well, it's like the end of the world. And I'm thinking, I've got to deal with this. And then on another day, it's like, wow, this is what a Sunday this is. And because some like random bloke playing for a team that you don't support has scored a couple of goals, they're really, really happy. But it's like an emotional roller coaster for them. And I've seen you in the match today.
It really is. It means everything.
It really doesn't, Mike.
From 3 to 5 o'clock on a Saturday, that determines my whole mood for the rest of the weekend. Exactly. You might even see it at the show. I might have less energy on a Saturday night. If my captain's not scored, I might be sulking.
I suppose what it does do is makes a game where you've not perhaps got any skin in the game. It makes it interesting. It makes it more interesting.
Perfect. Perfectly put. Literally, you're watching every game. And it helps with your analysis as well and your stats, because you're looking at, who scored, who's playing well, who's getting the clean sheets, who's getting the most passes. All the data is there to be seen, so it's perfect.
I wonder if I'd have had you in my team.
Well, for one season, 2012 season,
I'd definitely put you in there, Mike. Yeah. We'll finish with our fantasies, and we'll call this episode a day. Thanks once again for sending in your questions and all your lovely comments too about the podcast. We're absolutely thrilled that you are enjoying it. Bye from me.
Goodbye from me.